Hey there, and welcome to today's Explainer. Look, today we are going to completely upend literally everything you believe about the root of your stress, your anxiety, and that everyday burnout. I know, right? That's a massive promise, but stick with me here because by the end of this, your entire perspective on how you actually experience the world is going to shift in a really big way.
All right, let's just dive right in by challenging a huge core assumption. What if the root cause of all your suffering is simply your own thinking? Seriously, we're taught from a really young age that external events are what cause our pain, right? A demanding boss, a flat tire on the way to work, a missed flight. But the honest truth? It isn't that external event causing your psychological suffering at all. It's actually the engine inside your head reacting to it. Because let's face it, most of us are walking around living in this constant state of a muddled mind. It's like a giant tangled web in there. Now, our minds evolved beautifully to keep us alive. Back in the wild, constantly scanning for threats, that kept us from being eaten by predators. But today, that exact same survival mechanism is still running full tilt, and it keeps us tangled in this exhausting, never-ending state of fight or flight over, missed emails or social media or just an awkward conversation. It keeps us surviving, sure, but it completely blocks us from actually thriving.
And that brings us to Section 1, the root of suffering, and this fascinating concept of the second arrow. So to really grasp this paradigm shift, we first have to recognize something crucial. While physical pain in life is absolutely inevitable, you will get hurt, you will experience loss. The enduring psychological suffering that follows, that is actually totally optional.
To really wrap our heads around this, picture a young monk meditating super peacefully in a little boat on a glassy lake. Suddenly, out of nowhere, an incoming boat violently slams into his. The monk's eyes just snap open, right? And he erupts in this furious anger at the careless person who just hit him. But then, he looks a little closer, and he sees the boat is completely empty. It literally just drifted on the wind. Instantly, his anger vanishes. Poof, gone. Why? Well, because the physical collision didn't actually cause his anger. The anger came entirely from his own reaction, his own internal narrative about who was attacking him.
So it all boils down to this really profound idea. The meaning we give an event is what determines how we ultimately feel about it. It's wild to think about, but we don't actually live in objective reality. We live entirely within our perception of it. We are only ever feeling what we are actively thinking in any given exact moment. The reality is just the event. The suffering, well, that's just the meaning we manually attach to it.
Okay, so this leads us to a massive, game-changing distinction in Section 2. The great divide between thoughts versus thinking.
I want you to try a quick thought experiment with me right now, okay? What is the dream amount of money you want to make in a year multiplied by 5? Just take a second, calculate that incredible, mind-blowing number right now, and just let it pop right into your head.
Now, notice exactly how you are feeling right this second. As you sit with that massive, exciting number, what just happened? I mean, if you're like most of us, an immediate wave of self-doubt, anxiety, and just a million reasons why you can't do it or that's super unrealistic probably just flooded your body. Your chest might even feel a little tight right now, honestly.
Well, here is exactly why that happened. Thinking, used as a verb here, is the laborious, totally manual act of actively engaging with, judging, and criticizing the thoughts in your mind. See that initial massive number that just arrived? That was a raw, effortless thought. Beautiful, right? But all the doubt, the anxiety, the logical breakdowns of why you couldn't achieve it that immediately rushed in right after, that was thinking. And that manual thinking is the true root of your suffering.
There is such a profound divide here, and it's absolutely crucial to grasp. Thoughts, those natural, effortless ideas that just drop into our heads, they come from this really expansive source. They're creative, they're light, and they make you feel so alive. But thinking, that manual grinding, judging, and analyzing, that is an ego-driven, heavy, and honestly destructive force. It restricts you, it generates fear, it creates this sense of separation, and it literally limits your true potential.
Which brings us to Section 3, finding peace in non-thinking. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, okay, if manual thinking is the problem, do I just need to force myself to think positive all the time? Is forced positivity the magic answer here?
No, absolutely not. Think of it like a bowl of murky, dirty water. You don't clear that water by aggressively filtering it or boiling it, right? That's just more effort, more force, more manual thinking. Instead, what do? You simply step back, you let it sit, and you allow all that debris to settle naturally on its own. Your mind works the exact same way. Just pure awareness and non-thinking allow that mental mud to settle naturally, revealing the incredible clarity that was actually always underneath.
I like to think of the mind as having a built-in thoughtometer. Your stress magnitude literally equals your amount of thinking at any given moment. Those negative emotions you feel, they are just a warning dashboard, like an internal radar telling you, hey, you are overthinking right now. Because your natural default state isn't actually stress at all. It's joy and peace. It's kind of like the quicksand rule, right? The more you fight and manually overthink, the faster you sink. So don't fight the quicksand, just let go and let the mud settle.
All right, let's transition into Section 4, Inspiration over Desperation. Now, this usually brings up a really huge question, especially for high performers. If you stop manually thinking, are you going to lose your edge? Are you going to lose your ambition, your goals, and your drive to succeed in life? Actually, scratch that. The exact opposite happens. There is this amazing Japanese concept called mushin, which translates to no mind. It's this flow state achieved when the mind is totally free of rambling thoughts, anger, and ego. And guess what? It allows for absolute peak instinctive performance. Olympic athletes, top artists, and world-class creators, they achieve their absolute best flow states only when they completely bypass that clunky manual thinking and just trust their training and their instincts.
And when you step into the state of non-thinking, your goals shift dramatically. They move away from these heavy goals of desperation, the ones driven by scarcity, feeling like an obligation, or just a means to escape your current life. Instead, they transform into goals of inspiration. These are driven by abundance. They feel incredibly light, and the goal itself becomes a beautiful end in itself, completely free from all that heavy pressure.
This is the true essence of unconditional creation. It's creating something without it being for another purpose, but purely because we just genuinely want to create it. And honestly, this is where the magic happens. You do brilliant, world-class work simply for the love of doing it. You find immediate joy right now in the present moment, rather than endlessly chasing some future payoff that, let's be real, never really seems to fulfill you anyway.
So, practically speaking, how do we actually navigate our messy, chaotic daily lives using this framework? Let's explore that in our final section, Section 5, Trusting Your Inner Wisdom. Okay, here is your playbook for navigating life without all that overthinking. First, realize that life is kind of like a piano. There are no inherently wrong keys, just different notes that create different sounds. So rather than agonizing over right or wrong choices, look for universal truth instead. And remember, society rarely validates your intuition until it's already mainstream, so please don't wait for outside permission or a consensus. Deep down, if you just quiet the noise of that manual thinking, your internal GPS already knows exactly what path to take. You really just have to trust it. So I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to help you bypass your manual thinking today. If you had infinite money, absolutely no fear, and you received zero recognition for your work, what would you create? I want you to really sit with this question today. But don't overthink it. Just trust the very first effortless thought that arrives. Because that is your truth. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it brought you some incredible value today, and I'll catch you next time.